All right. Are we live? Are you guys ready?
Of course we are.
We were born.
Welcome, my dear friends, to the Devil's Workshop that I built this last couple of months. Dear Paula and Sven, thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Thanks for having us.
This is good. Well, thank me at the end of it. So my idea normally doing this, you remember that last conversation we had at yours?
Of course.
Kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a journalist of any kind. This is not the idea. So if after the fact you would decide that you would want something cut, I'm happy to do it. Something, anything that we're discussing, as far as I'm concerned, should be personal. Not, we're not talking in place of anybody else. So yeah, just like, I would say, just like at home, but better. Yeah. How many times have you been to Strasbourg?
I think 3 or 4 times before.
I think it's a lot more than pretty much every time.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, take it. It's made for it. We can move it around and everything. It's just pull it.
Yeah,
over.
it's just in my face and.
Well, then you can do it like that. Sure, turn it and
That's better.
They are adaptable. So cool.
We're here pretty much every single time we get visitors.
Okay.
Because there's nothing to see in Karlsruhe, so.
Oh well, I'm not surprised about it. I'll close this so you wouldn't be bothered. Okay. What do you at all like it? I mean, you do live in Karlsruhe, so as far as I can tell, there's not much we can really offer to the German side. I'm just curious how you see the city, because I ask everybody, and most of the people who I talk to are coming from different countries, like we do. Not the strictly speaking European. Well, Hungary, at least I can tell. I can say easily that it's not strictly speaking European. So, yeah, and everybody seems to like it. But you guys come from the rich neighbors. Isn't it like that?
Well, I'm not quite sure. But for a lot of Germans, they like to come to Strasbourg because it is very nice. It has a very nice old town.
That's true.
Cathedral and everything. And I have a lot of colleagues who live here since ages ago, and then they every couple of weeks they drive to Strasbourg and have a nice day and get all the French delicacies and food they can't buy in Germany.
Oh yeah, okay.
So this is a pro.
Oh yeah, okay. I see. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true that the French side has some food to offer. If you want to have a party, then you should come to France. That's what I always say. They know how to drink, how to not do anything else, but just leisure. Stuff like this. Even their language is like something that's soft. It's just caressing your soul all the time. There's no brutality. First of all, I wanted to invite you because you work closer to economy than anybody else I know, and I'm not sure. And you might professionally understand more of certain tendencies than any of my friends who are artists, and we don't know shit. We just, amateur idiots. And one of the reasons why I made this podcast is so we would be able to talk to people who are actually competent at what they are talking about. So when it comes to playing bass or writing music or working in production, I'm very happy to contribute. But there's a lot of stuff, and it seems like that you are the closest to actual adult stuff, and not this rock star bullshit that we're trying to pull off, which would be interesting to me. But before we get to that, honestly, I would much rather talk about the fact, if you are free to talk about this, how how does it work out to live with somebody who's from a completely different culture than you are? If it doesn't put you in a weird situation.
It does not, because it works out totally fine, and I don't think the culture is that different.
That's because you don't speak that language. Well, neither do I.
We haven't said this out loud. Paula is from Romania originally, and I'm from northern Germany.
So we're both kind of expats here.
And
Really?
well, I haven't had any real, clash of culture moments.
Have you been to where?
Except when we were in Romania.
I'm a very well-behaved Romanian, thank you.
Oh, I know.
By Western standards.
But it's one of the reasons why people more than tolerate you here. They want you here so much that they pay you a salary and they want you to live here. So yeah, sure, I imagine, of course.
And I think Paula is a extremely freakishly German kind of Romanian.
Okay.
She kind of surprises me on how organized she is.
Wow.
And that is, I wouldn't say it's not like cliche, typical Romanian style behavior, but on a day-to-day basis, I haven't had any cultural what's this about moment, or was kind of freaked out or anything, and I hope you weren't as well. But that's yours to say. In Romania, when we were there, we were like in a year and a half.
No,
in a
that
relationship.
was already 3 years ago.
Yeah. But
yeah.
we were
About a
together
year
like
after. Yeah.
year and a half. And we made this road trip to Romania and right across the whole country, basically.
Mm-hmm. Whose idea was it? I mean,
hard to tell. We had to go there.
Yeah, I would have had
for legal reasons.
I imagine family and shit is all.
No, just papers, renewing papers. The greatest thing you can do while visiting your home country, right?
Yes.
And then we had like 2 or 3 weeks to spend, and then to the next appointment at the officials.
Yeah, I actually had to wait for about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So we just planned around that and made a road trip throughout the whole country, and managed to do some important stuff in the meantime.
How was it for you?
Well, honestly, I didn't really get the chance to see much of Romania while I was living there. It was part of it was showing him stuff that I had known and enjoyed, and I think more than half of it was just discovering new stuff for me as well.
All right.
So it was like any other road trip, more or less, just with speaking the local language.
Well, yeah, which means that you have access to probably a bit more than anybody else would who doesn't. I mean, I know that I recommend to any of my friends who want to go to Hungary that bring somebody native. Not only because then you will probably not get harassed or you will not find yourself in a tricky situation, but also because maybe they know. Well, I mean, it's a bit of a corrupt country. Not because I want to bash on it, but all low economies do that, and if you want to exploit that, then you have to absolutely have somebody who speaks the native language. So
during a road trip, the things that stuck in my head were amazing nature, amazing food, shitty roads, and people driving like crazy. But it was the same when we were driving in Italy. So,
yeah.
So kind of was like, well, that's what you experience, but no real cultural clash at all, except some kind of foods I wasn't that into trying like chicken hearts or stuff like this.
Oh yeah.
But overall, it was great. But and when you were talking about Hungary, one of the nicest moments in a shitty situation at all was when we were going back. I had this company car. It was like an old Volkswagen Golf, and on our way back on the highway that circles around Budapest, it broke down, and the gearbox did break into pieces at all, and we weren't able to go any mile further.
Wow.
And we kind of managed to get into this very small village on the outskirts of Budapest, and there was such a friendly guy, and he helped us and managed to sheet us the to kind of get a little way out of the whole insurance situation, and without speaking any English and without wanting any money at all. He was offering us ice cream and drinks and food, and he doesn't. In the end, we wanted to tip him because he and his family were so helpful. Didn't expect anything. So this was an awesome experience with a guy from Hungary.
Cool.
Attila. Attila, I guess.
Yeah, there couldn't be a more common name.
Yeah, no.
Easy to track him down with.
Yes, absolutely. There's only 4 million of them. Yeah, it's it's such a good thing to hear at least some good stories of Hungary, because lately I didn't hear many, but to be honest, I'm not looking for it, but it's there are some good guys there. I'm not it's just an like
You're
any
not the
other
only
country.
one, come on, say it.
Honestly,
I'm so good I left. I don't know.
I also did expect one of the worst experiences in my life, because the Romanian-Hungarian relationship isn't
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is on your end. I just know our end. So, and it's, it's bitter, but kind of unjustified also. Because when Hungary got split, some of it went to the neighboring countries. The biggest chunks, I guess, Romania has gotten. So anything that was Transylvania and everything belongs to you guys. But there was nobody who's currently alive or their parents have been already in this situation. So it's like, making Romanian people feel responsible for it. I never felt this is just.
Well, the way you formulate the whole situation and the whole history already shows how you've learned about it.
Yeah.
And what you have learned about it.
Yeah.
What I know is that on the Romanian territory, Romanians have been living there and speaking the Romanian language for like 2,000 years.
Okay.
And at some point, the Ottomans came. At some point, the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Everyone got their share and then left or were forced to. But in the end, as far as you can trace back the Romanian people, they have been living in this space around the Carpathian Mountains and mostly north of the Danube.
Okay.
So,
all right. No, I believe you. It's just I can just reflect what I heard, and honestly, I have zero way of actually tracking down how much of it is true. And you know what the weirdest thing is? When I came here, I started working with a Turkish girl, and she was like, "Oh, you're from Hungary. We are your friends and everything. It's like we helped you guys." It's like, yeah, you occupied the country for 600 years. That was very good. So this wasn't a help for us at all. But how they thought it, how they learned it, it's like, yeah. So, yeah, I'm not gonna pretend that we are going to set this right. I have no idea. I think
it just shows that everyone is influenced by the way this has been taught in schools.
Sure.
And the consequences of that are present everywhere in politics nowadays. There's a lot of rivalry between Romanians and Hungarian people, because at this point, they are the largest minority in Romania. And on our way here, I was reading an article out loud how there were some clashes between the Hungarian minority and the ultra-nationalists.
Those are always the clever and most educated people. So, yeah.
Well, it's always a matter of point of view, isn't it?
I'm interested in whatever you heard. I'm not, it just looks like to me that like you're reluctant to talk about this because maybe.
Well, the truth is always somewhere in the middle, so it's.
I don't know.
If I say something about it, it will probably be very much from a Romanian point of view.
But I'm not expecting anything else, and it's to me, it's an attribute to you, but it's not defining you as
Well,
what defines you rather is that you had the courage to leave and learn another language and function in a completely different society. I think that's more of a characteristic of you that's important than anything else about your birth nationality.
Well, I think you give me too much credit.
Really? How many people do you know who left their country beside, me?
Well, honestly, in Karlsruhe, the largest minority are Romanians.
Cool.
So in a city of about 300,000, I think, the Romanians are at about 6,000.
Wow. That's a lot.
Kind of.
It's fine.
But honestly,
it's a couple of families already.
That's what the city says, and I'm worried about a large, dark number of people who didn't actually let the authorities know that they're living in Karlsruhe.
Yeah. Well, free borders, right?
Yeah. And honestly, where I work, there are a whole lot of Romanians working there as well. And
you willingly keep contact with your ancestry or with Romanian people, like the community?
I try not to leave it at that, to put it this way. I keep contact with Romanian people that I like.
Okay.
Not just Romanian people because they're Romanian.
Okay. Well, I'm just interested.
You can say the same.
I avoid anybody who speaks Hungarian.
Unless
wildly.
you like them.
No, wildly. I don't get to this point.
Okay.
I wildly, I go to the other side. After 10 years, like 2 weeks ago, I met a girl who was speaking Hungarian for the sake of speaking Hungarian a bit. And she had an interesting story. She also lived in Germany and with a very best childhood. So I was interested in hearing what she has to say. And I was like, well, if you need any help or anything, then let's talk. Her French was shit. She was here for a very small amount of time, but she speaks German like a native tongue. So she's not stupid. It's just she needed some help. So that was fun. But otherwise, for 10 years, I avoided like the Black Plague. And it's not because I have anything of a problem with the Hungarian culture, but I came here to integrate myself, which means that not only you understand the culture and you learn the language as much as possible, and I want to live in it. Hungarians are not part of this.
Well, are you part of this?
I'm not. I don't think I can be considered as a plain Hungarian. Again, I don't think this is an attribute that counts about me that much. I speak 3 languages. I'm an alien, and when I go home, it's like a non-existing capacity. I don't know how is yeah. English is fine. French, nobody. That doesn't exist. This couple, like English and French, and also Hungarian, it's like it's a rare combination. So,
but still, you seem to be defining everyone else who comes from Hungary and is living here as just plain being Hungarian. And you avoid them because of that.
No, there are several reasons why I avoid them. But well, all right, let's get into that. So here's the problem. When I came to France, I came with my ex-girlfriend, who was Hungarian, who was doing her master's, PhD, whatever, in law. And I never understood that word, so I can't even recall. And she was looking to join the community or talk to people or anything, because she was missing being able to speak Hungarian with people. And I understand why. But the problem is that those who are like beginners or who came out, they need a lot of help. Some try to use you or get some money extracted somehow, or immediately they ask for favors, which I hate. Immediately you get I can't say that in English, tutoyer. You get you don't get the distinction like in conjugism, like Sie, you're du, that's it. You're a friend, right? It's a we don't know each other, so there's no respect as far as I can tell. Or those who have been here for a while, I don't really connect to those people, because more often than not, those are women who got married here. They are not looking for a lot of Hungarian community to begin with. So, and I try to avoid being used as much as possible. So very few people, Hungarian people, I think the culture where I come from, they generally dislike the French.
Well, the whole world does, don't they?
What?
I don't know.
Let's talk about it. I'm interested in how are the French looked in Germany? Lazy as I can imagine. Everybody's lazy compared to you, except the Japanese.
I wouldn't say lazy. I think the picture in general that is painted in the minds of the German people is more like not lazy, clever, intelligent, cultivated.
Okay.
There's a lot of culture is attributed with being French.
It's true.
And a bit of knowing how to live a good life, but also being productive. Well, it is a big industrial nation, France. You can't ignore it. But also they also have a sense of enjoy and relax their life. We are missing basically as a kind of people. But really? On the downside, I think we view the French people as a bit of arrogant.
Oh yeah,
because
I think that's
they're like they're down looking on a lot of other people. I haven't experienced this myself, to be honest, but this is kind of the general image. Yeah.
I think a lot of the image that exists around being French is built along a person coming from Paris.
Oh yeah, well.
And to be honest, I've been in Paris, and I would be exactly as disgusted if I would have to live among so many tourists.
Have to. They choose to. It's a privilege to be able to live there, but even to go there. Well, I get your point. I don't know if either of you were. Well, you were to Budapest. Some of the inner city reminds me a lot to Paris. A lot of it, buildings and the atmosphere and everything. And
you should check out Bucharest.
Also, I have played there once, but that doesn't mean much. I just realized that I have played every single country in Europe. Nice. Not really, because I know the Autobahn better than anything. Autobahn toilets from inside out, back of the club, inside of a club, backstage of a club, just and scène, like a stage, and then buses inside and looking to the highway. That's it. That's what I know from Europe. It's not much fun, but well, I'm not gonna cry about it. But I don't remember anything at all. We drank there a lot. That was fun, but I couldn't do it anymore because I'm old. Anyway,
I share your pain.
is it? You're getting closer to 30?
I am 31.
31.
Yeah.
It's last week I had my ex-singer here from Absurdity, and we were just talking about how much harder it is to actually get back from a
Yep.
yeah 2 days, 3 days.
Exactly. You're really drunk on Friday, and when you were like 16, 17, like on 10 a.m. next morning, you have
fine.
your breakfast, it's fine. And you feel the pain till Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Yep.
It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
We have to start doing something else, drugs or go-karting or something.
When I was 16, I had this couple of friends. I grew up in a village, and we were like this village gang.
Okay.
Like there's nothing much to do than getting drunk, and so we did a lot of this. And we kind of made a deal. We were thinking, well, when we are all getting 30, we should rob a bank, because there are only two ways. Either you have do a successful robbery and you have so much money that you can live happily ever after on a Caribbean island or something like this.
You really were kids.
Yeah, of course. or you got shot during the robbery and you die, which doesn't matter anyway, because life after 30 is basically shit and the slow process of dying and decaying, so might as well go out with a bang. But now, since we all were heading 30 or crossed 30, we were like, yeah, we kind of postpone it till 50, right? Yeah, let's do that.
But come to think about it, there was a bank robbery in the village you grew up in. Are you sure it wasn't your friends?
I'm not.
Should we discuss this on air? I'm not sure. Make a call afterwards. You know, you never know. Where's my share, you fuckers? It's just you didn't call me. Well, if there's a share, I want to know about it. That's all. You can keep it, but you know, I'm ordering the slots. No.
You pick the island.
Sure. Okay. Paula, you're not 30 yet.
No, I'm not.
Soon though.
Yeah, soon enough.
Ooh,
28 now.
you're sorry about it. A woman starts at 30, you know.
I don't care.
Oh.
It's just a number, isn't it?
No, it's not. Well, to be honest, speaking as a man, I think it only has advantages. I mean, anything, you know, I thought the same thing that what you just described, is that, like, yeah, I won't live up to be 25 anyway, so who gives a fuck? And here I am at 33, and I'm like, well, everything is kinda like it was when I was in my early teens, except I have money, I have time, nobody's nagging me to do anything. I actually have friends who have projects, and actually there are some success that I could have, and there's capacity, and so yeah, everything I imagine being or having at the beginning of my 20s, for example, is like in my 30s. It's coming together just neatly. So I appreciate it a lot. It's fucking awesome. That's all I can say.
Same.
Very convincing. Really?
Well, I'm finally independent. I live in a country where 8 hours of work a day can allow me the kind of lifestyle I wish. I don't have my mom nagging me all the time. That's quite a relief.
You can quit the Sky call. You know, it's just, we didn't have internet, Mom.
She doesn't. It's fine.
Oh yeah. I forgot it's Romania. Sure.
Well, hey.
I don't know.
There is a lot of stuff that you can criticize about Romania, but I think we have one of the fastest internet speeds in all of Europe. I think only Estonia or some kind of
Lost country.
Yeah, one of the three
Gonna be
countries.
bashed for this.
One of the three countries who nobody can name in the right order.
Yeah, it's very possible. No,
I'm just keeping her away from it because it's dangerous. Or at least that's what she thinks. And I'm just not.
Are you protecting her or the internet from her?
Ooh, nice.
Or just myself, I think.
Nice.
I'm just thinking of the pain that my friends have had in their 20s after having their own places and being away from their parents, and then their parents finding out about stuff they're doing over Facebook because they have a Facebook profile. So
why would you ever upload any of that shit? I mean, I have done some serious stuff that I'm actually proud of, but I wouldn't share with the world.
Well, you're older. You don't understand.
Yes, maybe that's why. So much older. Those 4 years changes everything. I know. Especially you couldn't grow a beard if your life depended on you. You're like, I don't know, you're like Mark Marquez or something.
You don't know how I look like before.
Oh, you shave proficiently, I have to say. It's working out just fine. How long has it been since you left?
Almost 5 years now.
Almost 5 years. It's my 10th anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. In August, it's gonna be. Have you, Sven? Have you ever lived in another country?
Not really, no. Just long holidays, but I've never lived there, and
Had the desire?
kind of. When I was still a university student, I kind of thinking about getting abroad, doing my master's degree somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But also a question of money and getting it over quickly because of the money. And so I just stayed in the same place where I did my bachelor's degree, just get it over with and finally get a job, and wouldn't be any more dependent on my parents, which sucked. For me and for them and for everyone involved.
I don't think many people would, after you tasted what independence could give you, many of them would want to go back. So yeah, I get that, but yeah, well, it's just as far as I can tell, to me Germany is the highest grossing economy in whole Europe, as far as I can tell. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, you can confirm this because and Hungary is far from that. Let's just say that. So, and especially where I come from my family and everything, we had a poor family in a poor country, which is not a good combination if you want to do shit. So, and
having a poor family in a rich country is even worse. So stop complaining.
Really? How?
Because you can't even keep up with your fellow citizens.
Yeah, but you still get to study whatever you want, for example.
You could have in Romania. So the best universities in Romania are the ones that are run by the state, for example. So it's not a rule.
A lot of people seem to immigrate. I mean, to leave your country, seemingly so. The educational system is very high quality then.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of difficult to make this point either way, because it kind of depends on, if you're in a poor family, no matter if it's a poor or a rich country, it's about the distance to the average person that kind of makes you feel bad for yourself or gets you away from any opportunities.
No, okay. That wasn't my point, but
okay.
I get that.
Okay,
go on.
I think what more has an influence is the fact: is there a functioning welfare state that provides education, healthcare, etc.? You can have this in a poor country, or you can have it or not have it in a rich country.
USA. education costs a lifetime.
Yeah,
and it's a very rich country.
Let's stay at Europe, because the two problems I think currently the states are having is the healthcare system not being absolutely not being absolutely available for the lower income families.
In Hungary?
No, in the States,
okay.
in the USA. And no, in Hungary it's available, but there are no doctors. That's a bigger issue. So you get to go, and somebody looks at you and they say, well, you need it right now, because there's a waiting list of 4 months. And that's a problem, because, well, our education system is apparently also very good. And doctors were like, why would I work for 400 euros a month when I could work for 4,000 1,000 kilometers away?
Of course.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
So, and they are very welcome here. So, yeah, it's as far as I know. I'm not following up with what happens really in Hungary, to be honest. I don't think either of you. I think you both probably know more about what happened recently than me, because I really don't. I'm just not looking at what's happening. It's just too far. Like last time I talked to some biological researcher friends that I invited, and we were talking about the information passing and where they get their news from. It took me 3 days to hear what happened in Paris with Notre Dame getting fire and everything, catching fire. I'm just not. I'm filtering everything, so I don't get it. And Hungary is way too far away. Even Paris for me, it's 500 kilometers is enough for me for 3 days. It's fine. If in 3 days it's not on news, I don't care. It's fine. So I really don't know what's up with them currently. There's a regime there that I'm not agreeing with. That's pretty much all I can tell.
I think we can back that. But
you're not so nationalist, you guys are. I mean, it would be very difficult to be a very nationalist. Being in another country, yeah. And living with somebody who's from a completely other country. Yeah, and talking to somebody who's again from another, and we should normally fight with.
I think this. So, I'm not wanting to get emotionally. The three of us sitting around this table doing this in France is kind of an example that kind of the European spirit is functioning, and we are heading in kind of a good direction if we keep the track and not stirring right-wing policy style and getting closed borders and everyone's doing their own business.
Knowing what you know, you consider yourself to be an optimist about the tendencies that are ongoing?
No, well,
either of you can answer, by the way.
Well, I'm not. Well, if I have a realistic point of view on the whole situation, I don't think we are achieving any huge steps towards a more closer integrated Europe in the next couple of years. No way. But I'm still hoping for it, and I'm still wanting it to happen. But, don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. People aren't ready for it.
Yes, I do agree with him, but what I also rather be optimistical and rather concentrate on the fact that, at least we're not taking any steps backward.
Doesn't seem like, yeah.
But we're not really taking any steps forward either. So stagnating.
What's missing? I'm
in
curious.
A fast-changing environment like we have now, not moving forward is almost as bad as going backwards.
How would you guys think moving forward would look like? Can we talk a bit about specifics? I'm just interested in the general, because what do you guys see about where you live and what you perceive? What's missing? I mean, it's not like, as far as I can tell, the majority of Europeans, they don't want to go backwards. They don't want to stagnate. It's true that the insane, complex bureaucracy that we have over our heads is probably slowing things down. by a large margin. Obviously, any kind of despotic power would be more effective. It's just, against, a lot of principles and probably the development of the individual, which is kind of the centerpiece of the European culture and way of thinking, as far as I can tell. But you can...
I think the big issues we are facing as Europe or as the people of the world, like climate change, like cybersecurity, like security as a whole, or the whole thing about income and distribution of wealth in Europe. These issues can't be dealt as a small nation state one by one. I think we need to cooperate. I think that's kind of agreed by a lot of people. So we kind of need the European Union, and we need them to make decisions, and not it shouldn't take them as long as it does right now. So, but for me, I think if they are able to do it, we should give them more power, because they can't decide on anything right now if only one member state of the European Union vetoes it. So we have created this institution, the European Union, to have this free market economy, and then we made the institutions like they could do anything, but we haven't given them the power.
Okay.
And I think this should happen. So we have this European Parliament, which is the democratic legitimacy for the whole European Union, but they can't decide shit. And this has to change. This has to change. And when they can actually decide it, we should have a vote of majority of the members of parliament, so that there isn't like a small country or a region of a country that could block or veto a whole process of getting a bill done or a decision made. And now we have like this the European Union basically is just free market economy, and that's it. We need a second pillar, I think, and that's social politics. Okay. Minimum wage, and like a welfare state on a European level that sets the minimum. Above this, every state can do whatever they like, have fun with it. But we have the lowest bar that can't be crossed, and that is decided within the European Union, and it's the same rules for everybody. And I think this would help. This would be a way forward.
How would you? No, it's a good idea, but I think I don't see this being blocked as an idea. There's an inherent problem with this, is that the European Union consists of a lot of countries who are financially and economically way behind from what we are seeing right here, and it's a problematic proposition to bring them up to level, and it takes a horrible amount of time, which I think, as far as I can understand, but again, I'm an amateur, the European Union was created pretty much in a mirror image of what the states have done. It's that like let's have a democratic leadership, but somebody defining a directive or a direction for everybody involved. And I think the idea is that it's just the United States have been existing for a couple of 100 years already, and we are just European Union is how old? 25, 30 years, something like that.
It's maybe established more. In the 50s or 60s.
70 years old, about.
Yeah.
In its source as an economic common market. And
it was founded by the German, French, and the English.
I think it was six. I think it was 6 member states, and I don't think Great Britain was part. It was not part of it.
France, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg.
I won't be able to hear you after. Sorry about that.
France, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg, and Germany, I think.
Oh wow!
And France.
Yeah. He said France.
I'm just thinking about Italy, but I'm not sure.
I think they were also. It was 6. That's what I remember.
Okay. And then then you have stuff like what happened with the English, with the Brits.
Well, it's
Jesus.
I think in I think everything starts right about where he stopped with his idea, because you have this huge difference. You have this huge problem of wealth distribution. You have a lot of people going down from the still existing middle class, losing their status and feeling like they're losing control over their own situation.
Okay.
I think the political propaganda uses this fear in making this the this loss of control, making the European Union responsible for it. You are having a worse life because your own country cannot decide. It cannot take its own decisions because Brussels has taken over everything.
Yeah, we have
this
that.
This is nationalist propaganda.
Okay. Yeah.
And
that's
since it's using fear, fear being one of the most powerful emotions that a human being is capable of, and it's quite on an instinctive level, which makes it really hard to actually control with logical arguments. So
okay,
I think,
let me play the devil's advocate here, because I agree with what you said, but here's my proposition. We're in a bit of a pickle as like a species in general. The wealth distribution is probably very well put, is our biggest problem. But upon my research, I have stumbled upon this distribution curve, which explains how our society and generally economy is looking like in terms of wealth distribution. It's like it follows the Pareto distribution, as far as which means that like 20% of people hold 80% of the wealth, and then like 10% of people hold 90% of the wealth. It's an exponential curve that shows that like it's everywhere in nature, that it shows that a very small amount of people are holding a lot, and then there's some of a middle curve, and there's a lot of people who are just down right at the bottom for several reasons: lack of competence, lack of capacity, lack of education, horrible childhood experiences that block them in several psychological ways. So there's a number of reasons why you can end up at the bottom level, and the problem is that those countries who are not taking care of their weak, I mean financially weak, those people are not getting back into the game ever. That's an issue. I get that. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you guys is because I have realized that this Pareto distribution is a natural occurrence of currently the free market and the democratic system that Europe has built. How can it be circumvented then?
Well, I think he knows a lot more economy to actually make the jump between.
I would love to talk about that, because.
Okay, well, there.
My only idea to this thing is that money is not not a resource that you can print as much money as you want.
Yeah, but its worth is it translates to actual value system sooner or later.
Does it?
Yes.
Because
yes, it does.
A house, it's still a house in New York or in some kind of.
What's the most valuable thing you can think of, for our society?
Morals?
No, definitely not.
For me, at least.
Yeah, for you, but economically speaking, you will not monetize
nothing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the most easy to monetize? I think scientific discovery, that would be easy, especially if it's technologically aligned with what, that's why researchers get as much. That's why I'm talking to researchers a lot, because they get to use the highest level of technology and the highest pinnacle of anything that the current culture here can offer, so that they can advance and essentially compete with other forces who are looking for the same thing. So if you can, not discover but invent something that everybody needs, that would be the most valuable thing. And it's not for nothing that companies which didn't exist 20 years ago, like Google or Facebook, they insanely grows. They grows like mad when they come out. And it's essentially no investment in it. It's code. It's no resource necessary. No morals.
Time is a resource that you have to invest.
Okay, but that everybody has to invest. So that's not going to divide the investors.
Yes, but it's you have only.
It's relatively small compared to, for example, oil, right? Because that's extracting oil and writing an HTML page. Not the same effort required, not the same kind of investment for the same amount of economical value. I'm not kidding. That translates very easily, as far as I can tell. But
oil only has an economical value as long as someone wants to buy it. So
also, but program codes are also just like this, just the same. So again, that's not going to be a divider between these two groups. This is how I see it. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
So how do we solve the Pareto distribution problem? Because that's something I would like to talk to.
I think it's in Europe, it's basically solving itself right now. During the last 10-15 years, the wealth of the middle classes in Western Europe kind of stagnated. There aren't much net gains anymore, and the distance towards the rich gets bigger and bigger, because since the 90s we have had our crisis and we had our ups in the economy, but after the crisis the profit that were made weren't like distributed even over the Pareto curve. It was basically, most of it was put in the upper end. So I think it's kind of solving itself in a way that I wouldn't describe as fair right now by itself. I think
what do you mean solving by it? I think what is happening is it's just distributing it on its curve, which is exactly the opposite of being solved.
Yeah, that I was kind of sarcastic about.
Oh yeah, okay, okay.
No, I'm not gonna paint something. If it's kind of bell curve distributed, that's what you were talking about, right? Like a bell curve, there are a lot of people in the middle who have a lot of.
No, I meant it as an exponential curve.
Also, like Gini coefficient. That's okay.
Like a 6-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
okay,
that's.
Well, I think we can. This is political science. We can discuss: is it only fair if everyone has the same share, or is it fairer if?
Well, it's fair, but is it what we want? Not necessarily.
Okay, we can discuss, and it would be this or this outcome of the discussion, depending on what kind of people would sit around this table.
Okay.
But I wouldn't want to go into this. If we decide that in a capitalistic system that kind of in Germany we have this this word is called social market capitalism, and it's the idea was not to be fully capitalistic and not communistic or socialistic in a system, but to kind of get a middle way, to be capitalistic society, but with a welfare state that provides you if you're low, to get up again.
Yeah, that's the basis that I think Europe is.
And if we're now figuring out that we are drifting more towards capitalism, and that there are just a few who get even more and more and more, a bigger share of the wealth.
Well, yeah, but
how can we get? I thought your question was how can we, shift in the other direction? How can we get rid of this problem?
How can? Well, it is very obvious that the wealth is unevenly distributed. No question about it. On some level, this might be a problem, especially when it comes to, when it translates to people inheriting the amount of money that they essentially inherit the power with it, and they don't have the competence behind to, I don't mind if, Bill Gates is an insane millionaire. The guy created several things that all humanity needed and used, so he must know something but his kids, I'm not so sure, because it's not the same person.
Exactly, good point.
Yeah, that's one of my problem, inheritance in general. I do agree with. Here is why I think we are shifting towards that competitive economic system. We are more and more numbered in Europe as far as numbers go, which means that in proportion, maybe the lowest income people are the same as before, but it's also a lot of numbers to actually. It's a lot of mouths to feed. It's a lot of people who shit in the ocean. It's a lot of problematic situations to solve. And as far as my psychological studies go, apparently, after a certain age, you are never going to be able to educate them to do anything necessarily useful in their whole entire life, which means that they will never generate profit even if they would want to. So that's a problem, because that's a lot of people. There was this statistic, I don't know if you know about it. Here's the thing. The American army apparently has done some kind of research as to which is the lowest IQ, which is kind of the biggest predictor of your life success. So which is the lowest IQ, which when you go below, there's nothing that would prevent you from doing anything else but counterproductive value. So they went 87 IQ points. Below 87 IQ points, there's absolutely no chance that you wouldn't do anything. So no, let's say this: 100% chance that you will do counterproductive. It's just no way. It's and then they looked up in the population level, and it's 10% of people, which is, how many are we in Europe now? 380 million, something like that, 360 million. That's a lot of people. Mm-hmm. So they have to be cared for. I do agree. But it will only work, if the rest of the competitive people are enhanced as much as possible. And in order to do that, you have to push them towards some kind of evolution, which is currently only the capitalistic system. We know a free market system that allows them to, it even encourages them to maximize their potential, and then they use it in some manner. That's why I think the capitalistic system doesn't have an inherent value in itself. It's there to serve the people, and if it does not function this way in certain aspects, you should interfere and get it back on track. You don't think it works? Well, for example, if we have free market capitalism, those 10%, who would care for them? So I agree. That's the inherent problem. Mm-hmm. Let's say we care for the 10%, and for the rest of the 90%, we get this capacity. What would be the wrong with that? It wouldn't be it wouldn't be wrong, on a fundamental level. This is what I was trying to say. Mm-hmm. But if these you have a second question.
if we just we care for the 10%. Okay, fine, they're dealt with on a good level. The other 90%. If there is a person who has vocational training, who is like a car mechanic or something, and so you can't do this. I couldn't do it. If you would put me into the workshop, I wouldn't be able to do shit.
Sure.
So he is a skilled laborer, and he works like 10 hours a day.
Okay.
And can barely feed himself or rent a flat in the city he lives in. And then there is someone who inherits.
Yeah.
I'm painting a drastic picture.
Sure. You get the point.
But, I think if this would be the overall picture, for a lot of people, you got legitimacy problems for the whole system because of social justice. I'm not sure this is the correct English word that I'm using. It sounds wrong, but I think you kind of get what I'm aiming at.
Social
equality, I think.
Equal opportunity. Yeah. I think,
And what I think is kind of interesting, and I don't know if you know this guy, John Rawls. Ever heard of him?
No.
It's a political scientist or philosopher. He was thinking about what is a just society, what would be just in the way of wealth distribution or welfare state.
Okay.
And he was thinking, okay, well, let's make an experiment. Like we take, for example, the people of France. Everyone gets a step back out of this world, and he puts a veil over our faces. He calls it the veil of ignorance. So we are like floating around in the universe, looking at France and the people in France. We know that in a few seconds we'll get back down there, but we do not know in which bodies our conscience will be transferred.
Okay.
So could be an infant, the son of a rich millionaire, could be an infant, the son of a poor person, could be a disabled man, could be a highly intelligent IT genius kind of guy. No matter what, we don't know. So and now we're as a group, as like 64 million of France people population, we are discussing what kind of society do we want to create and what kind of society do we want to live. He says, on an egoistic level, naturally, we will decide to have some kind of welfare state to ensure that those people with who are handicapped, or those people who are born in a low-income family get the opportunity to make it, to get a decent life. Nobody would be crazy enough to gamble and say, I want full-blown market capitalism, I don't care.
I think this is one of the things that Europe actually does better than the States currently. Because our social system for the low-income people, if you really want to make it, there are, I mean, at least in France, I don't know about Germany, but if you want to work there is a capacity. If you want to get back into the game and you get to zero, even if you finish on the street, there are programs to get back you. It's not easy, but it's far from impossible. And like in Hungary, what I see is in a way worse shape. So I don't think the socialist element of caring for the poor and those who can't take care of themselves is inherently, at least, is that wrong in an idea. It seems to be working pretty well, more than it doesn't to me. I don't know if you agree with that, because I think it's not for nothing that we come here. I will not end up on the street here.
I think there is a difference between Western and Eastern Europe on this subject, but I think there is still a way to go for Western Europe.
Yeah, okay, sure, okay. Well, I'm not. We're
not there yet.
Okay, no. If you say that, there are stuff to be correcting and perfecting. Sure, it's but not by any stretch of the imagination. It's a perfect system. It's far from it. Sure, okay. The inefficiency of the European Parliament is a problem, in your opinion. I think it's fairly obvious that.
Yeah, but because they are not allowed by the system, by the nation states, to decide on anything. So the subject of a welfare state is not in the hands of the European Union.
It's not the problem that it's inefficient. It's just unable to act. It can make a proposition, but the states have to vote on it, and they have to vote on most things. They have to vote unanimously.
Yeah,
for it to
that's
go
what I
through.
mean by inefficiency. I mean, if it just a vast majority, like 90% would be enough, I mean, probably it would be more efficient. I think it's an inherent problem, and probably you guys see into it better than I do, but let's play the devil's advocate here, because I like to do that, and I'm an asshole. Maybe it's because there are certain tendencies in economy and development of technology that you cannot foresee. And if you are acting too fast, there's a very likely possibility that there's gonna be an outcome or a side effect of what you are doing that is really undesirable. Let me give you an example. Jay just wanted to, change the horse carriages down. So this guy comes up and invents the internal combustion engine and just let's make cars. Nobody in 1,000 years would have predicted that it is gonna cause us that major of a problem of CO2 getting in the atmosphere or other thing. Inventing the internet. It's inherently something that we look into as something good. But as a musician, if I think about it, like it. Literally, that thing killed our industry. You can't sell music anymore. Doesn't exist. You can sell merchandising related to it, videos, other performances. The music is done. Nobody wanted this. It just happened. It happened over a course of 15 years, and nobody predicted this. And nobody will shut down the internet for the musicians either. I mean, it's just nonsensical. So, how about this? Maybe they are slow, because they don't want anything like that to happen. Something unforeseeable. How about that?
I think if the European Parliament could decide on anything else but like market economy issues, it would still be like in most countries. There wouldn't be like one party group that had the majority, but there would be coalitions, and there would be debates, and like in most democratic systems, there isn't like one view that gets the upper hand and gets pushed forward, but compromises. And compromise is always a small step. So I don't see a problem in this. It's I think the main issue, to get back to this, is they can't get shit done on a lot of subjects right now because they're not allowed to. So people get frustrated. The European Union doesn't get anything done according to wealth distribution, according to security, according to what, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so they're shit. So should we get rid of them, or should everything stays as it is? No. Okay, what the other way would be to finally give them the power to go ahead, not go back to the 60s, because with the tools of the 60s, we can't face modern problems. I think that's kind of clear.
Very obvious.
I think we should go forward, have the European Union, that there is a lot to criticize about them.
Sure.
For sure. Lack of democracy, for sure. Lack of focus on social problems. Yeah, but let's change this. But for this, we should give them more power. That there isn't like one country. In one case, it's Germany. In one case, it's Cyprus, or I don't know. That for egoistic national reasons blocks a good proposal that would be best for the majority of the European citizens. And I think we should focus on that.
How?
You're asking the rich people to... It's like you're asking the rich people to give up the feudalistic system. You have power that is distributed among the states, and they have to give up this power and give it to the European Parliament for it to work. But that means that people in high functions will lose their power, and they will not do that unless you force it upon them.
Maybe they are in power because, well, I have
It doesn't matter why
I don't think
they're
it's
in
very
power.
detailed the way you put it, though, and I think it's too simplified for us to actually grasp the problem, because just let's just see it this way then, as an economical formula. Like, one of the biggest shareholders in France is Renault as a company. So their profit margin and their workers and their numbers, what they are selling, what they are producing, is inherently affecting pretty much everybody in France, sooner or later, right? It's in their interest to produce the best product possible for the lowest amount of cost, or to produce at least products that a vast majority would want, as in favor to other competitive products. Sure? Yeah. These companies, I mean, how much power do you think the European Union has over the head of, or the CEO of Renault?
I think you should ask the question the other way around.
No, I do know that they have a lot of power but it's for a reason, because they have a lot of people attached to them, and it's their income, and it's those CEOs. Those are extremely competitive functions there. Very few people are able to fulfill those positions and make proper decisions that are actually moving such a big machine forward. It's a huge company. Yeah, it's like, and I don't know if you have ever tried to direct a 10 people group, but it's like when it becomes a million numbers, it's just impossible to watch the humanistic side, and it's what is inherently their job is to keep the ball rolling and make something useful, and sometimes it ends up laying down 10,000 people in order to keep the rest of the 200,000. Sometimes it happens, but it looks like shit for those 10,000 people. See? So, okay.
Well, do you think that these CEOs are there to act in the interest of the people?
No, in the company. But essentially, these companies make up your country.
Well, these companies make their owners richer and richer. First of all. Second of all, they create a lot of jobs. Some of them even well-paying, and they do have a role in keeping the economy going.
So, my response to that would be, they are making everybody richer, actually.
It's a side effect.
Maybe not. Yeah, but again, it's a Pareto distributional problem we don't know how to solve. And that's why I wanted to talk to you guys, because as far as my research goes, we don't know how to shovel money from the top so that it would remain at the bottom. It's just, we don't know how to do that. There's no way that it doesn't end up again at high in a very short amount of time.
There are solutions for that.
Like what?
You can tax wealth. Not income, but wealth.
Yeah, okay.
You can
one of them is
tax,
perfect.
And then the heritage.
The heritage is that's a big problem. It's I figured it out by myself, because the competence doesn't come with it. So it's those heads and CEOs and people who are making decisions not necessarily made their way up. If you were born there, then you might not have the capacity to actually be there.
Is there a tax on wealth in France? In Germany, there isn't. There's a big discussion about it, but there is. It's
a very good question. I can't answer you. Mm-hmm. I know enharmonics and how to, so this is something we should look up. But I think there was definitely, because the one thing that I can think about is that Gérard Depardieu left France because as a super rich person he was overly taxed. But I'm not exactly. I don't think this was under our current government, so I'm not sure where they stand on it currently.
Well, the really rich people, they don't get any richer because they have such a high income for their labor, for their duties as a CEO or something like this.
No.
They get richer and richer because their money is creating more money.
Yes.
Because of wealth. And maybe some clever... I'm not getting the English word. Like...
say it maybe we'd figure it out.
Stocks.
Yeah.
Shares.
Thanks.
Here to help.
So I think you should have a look at wealth taxation to kindly to get some share of it that, to be honest, wouldn't affect me as a very, very, very rich person, wouldn't affect me on a personal level if I have like 3 or 4 million in wealth, if I would have to give up 30, 40,000. It wouldn't hurt me and my lifestyle at all, because at some point it doesn't matter. And
your daily life, sure, but that money is...
But why am I able to create such vast sum of money? Because of the society that gives provides an environment for me to make business, that provides skilled labor, that provides young people.
And also because you're in the position of knowing people who invest with, so you have a lot of...
I can't create this amount of money on my own. I have to have a company. I have people who work for me.
Sure.
So, and they need to get to the company. I need to ship my goods or anything like this. I need educational system. I need infrastructure. I get the opportunity to make the money is provided by the society, and I think I should have a responsibility to give something back to the society. And as a rich person, I can give a little bit more.
I think so, but I fail to see where this doesn't meet what you're talking about. I mean, give me one instance where, I mean, like, let's talk about concrete people then, because as far as I can tell, this is exactly what's happening. It's their personal lives after, like, somebody actually counted it out. It's like after, like, you earn $60,000 worth of a month. After that, it doesn't matter how much more you have. It's just not gonna change anything. But that's not their money. What they use it for is to build another investments, to fund another research, to fund another development of something that essentially comes up with another product that can open up a whole new line of products that actually gives more jobs. So it's, I mean...
Yeah, but they don't do it on their own.
How could they?
Well, that's the point. They cannot do it on their own. Why are they allowed to hoard money?
It's not that they allowed. It is. You are allowed to be there too if you can. It's insanely competitive. They are not going to let you be there. It's very...
Of course.
Sure.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but
it's
partially...
a closed group where you don't have any access as a normal person. And I'm quite amazed on how, for example, the US works, that every single person thinks that they can be ultra rich, even though it's probably not the case. And they keep advocating for these people, even though they are not part of this group, just because there is an not quite a real probability that they will ever be a part of this ultra rich group.
Yeah, but there's a reason for that. They lack the competence for it.
You really think so?
Well, if
You
we
just
take
brought the- you just
if we
started-
take away the inheritance problem, which I think has been a century-old problem already, yeah,
Do you
I think
it's
it requires an insane amount of very special skills to be up there, and you are flat out working 70 hours a week, easy, and definitely taking care of yourself, no family, no hobbies, no anything else but that. Yeah, I think it's a very few type of people who can do that, and the labor work that I do or you do or the kind of people that does not match up to it at all. We can be replaced. Those people really can't be.
Well,
You want to replace them or anybody?
there is you made like one
Yeah, I know.
you just circled out the whole inheritance thing and said if we get rid of this, then it would be.
Well,
If I look at the richest people in Germany, this is all families who own the big industries.
yes, sure.
And
They didn't build it. Their ancestors did. Sure.
exactly.
Okay.
The workers did.
And also, well, okay. Let me again. Yeah, okay, but
And okay, there is, I think, in the 60s or 70s. I'm not really sure about this because it's history of France. I think there was this, like in the late 60s, this community commune in Paris, and of left wing idealistic people, and they had a discussion, and they the question was, for people in a capitalistic society, the CEOs, the owners of the companies, they have the risk of the economical risk. If the company goes bankrupt, it's my fortune in ruins. So they can earn more than the regular worker because they have the risk.
Okay.
That's fair. They discussed it, and they even invited huge bourgeois capitalistic owners of companies. They discussed it there, and they finally get to a point where they said, okay, it would be fine if the CEO or the owner of the big company, the manager, owns like 3 or 4 times the average income of an average worker.
So there should be a plafond.
Yeah, and they definitely are allowed to earn more. They have the risk. They have like hours that are insane. Maybe it's totally fine. They can earn more. But if you look now on the difference of they earn crazy amounts more than four times the average.
Yeah, all right. Okay. No, I see.
This is something where we can as a society we can talk about this and say, is it fair or is it not fair? And should we tax? Should we have
I don't think that should be a question, because I honestly think it's fair. It's just shouldn't be the way, because it's for a reason they earn that much, but it's just not what society requires. But it is fair because they provide something that very few people could do in their places. It doesn't mean that they would have to have this amount of wealth, but we don't know any kind of other recompensation system that would allow you to, I don't know, that would measure your success.
Well,
so
if when we look at the labor market and see and accept that if it's completely, if we would make it completely free, there would be people who would work for €1 an hour because they aren't able.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah. And if we say, well, this isn't good, we need a minimum wage, we need at least some safety net.
Yeah.
And to provide this, everyone should pay something in the community fund.
Yeah.
And then we have a discussion on, well, should we have a flat tax or should the richer pay a higher percentage? These are discussions we as a society can have.
I think it's a problem if in Germany, actually, it is how you said it, and I have no reason to question your knowledge about this. I have zero of it. But if they don't tax the ultra rich, I think it's it's a problem.
Well, they only tax income, and there is a very low tax on when you inherit something.
Sorry.
That no problem. That is that there are a lot of loopholes, and that doesn't affect anyone. So it's basically income. But if you're really rich, as we said before, the big sum of money doesn't come through income, you already have it, and if you're dealing with it anyhow clever, you keep your share of wealth.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Through investments and other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's all right. That's definitely okay. That's definitely an issue, sure.
And you keep saying that you.
I'm playing devil's advocate at the same time. I agree with you in a long. I'm just.
No, but
an
you were
argument.
saying that it's okay for them to earn more. Well, how much more?
As much as their competence worth more. But no, I mean, I understand why they do. I'm not. The problem is that society indeed needs them to have an upper limit for some. Because, like, contrary to what you said, the wealth altogether we have is not limitless, but they have a limitless upper going curve. So that's why one person, it's like a Monopoly game. Somebody by random is going to end up with everything. And it's an issue regardless of competence also, because a lot of chance plays. Once you're higher, you have more opportunities to start something new, so you more generate. Like I said, it's money generates it. So okay, it should have an upper limit, even to those who are extremely competent, because the rest of the margin they are earning is not good for any of them, or it doesn't allow for more investments or any more.
Exactly.
Yeah, and if you are telling me that it's not the case, I'm surprised, and it's very well might be the case. I don't know any of this, and I'm going to do my research of it, but it's shocking because it should be.
The reason why there is so little to be done is the fear, and there comes the European Union back together. We had a Minister of Finance in Germany, and he was thinking about, well, should we have a higher tax on stocks and gains through the stock market, or should we think about taxing wealth and not only income? The biggest argument against it is always, well, if Germany would put this in place, all the rich people would just leave and go to the Netherlands or other neighboring countries. So we might as well just have low tax, so we can have like 3% of a little bit, then this is still more than 20% on nothing. So, and this, if every country would act like this,
isn't Netherlands a part of the European Union?
We have a race to the bottom. Sorry?
Isn't Netherlands a part of the European Union? Shouldn't it be unanimous everywhere in Europe?
That's my point. It is not right now.
Oh wow!
But I think it should be. We should have the same corporate taxes. We should have the same taxes for stock market income.
Now, I can see why that could be a problem, though. And again, I agree with that, and I think we should do it, but I can see that becoming a problem very fast. Let's say, okay, we make it unanimous in everywhere in Europe. They will leave with the competing other continent. Let's say, kids leaves France and they go to the Chinese. The fuck you do then? Because then you lost all of it.
But these multinational companies that could go or are basically right now they are producing all over the world.
Pretty much, yeah.
So if you compete with China or India on the price for an hour of skilled labor, you can't compete.
No, they already win. It's insane.
So,
yeah, I know.
Why are they here? Why are they not leaving already? Not because of low corporate taxes, but because in Europe we have something else. We have extremely high qualified people that can do qualified labor, that have ingenuity and can do more qualified skills that couldn't be done by an unskilled labor somewhere in Uttar Pradesh.
Yeah, but you don't think that those places have the education level high enough to provide concurrence to those who are the most educated here, who provide the highest level of engineering and science, scientific research and all that thing, when, I don't know, their population is like 10 times bigger than anything in Europe. I mean, that's kind of a problem. I think they have that too, not just the labor force.
Yeah, of course they have this.
So, we're inherently in a losing battle already.
Well, there is a reason that, for example, the marine industries, like if you want to build a cruise ship, you're gonna have to build it in Canada or Europe because it's highly complicated to do this.
Sure.
If you want to have like an oil tanker, you're gonna build this in China or South Korea. I guess they're in there as well. You really, really rarely find a shipyard in Europe capable to do this, to keep up with the competition.
Obviously.
So what are we building here right now? Well, cruise ships, specialized ships for research. So we have to focus on what we can do best, and this is highly skilled labor. But I think if we focus on this, it wouldn't be a problem if we say, well, let's have a corporate tax that is like so and so %, I don't know, but have this unanimously in the European Union. What's happening right now is that there are a lot of companies going to Ireland because they have really, really low corporate taxes, and they're paying. That's a big discussion. You kind of heard about this. Like the biggest companies, they don't. If you have at least so much success, you don't have to pay taxes at all, and that's just incredibly unfair.
Why do you think is the
Apple? They pay
Starbucks,
less tax. They pay less tax
Amazon.
than your around the corner baker.
Why do you think Ireland is able to afford this? They are in shit economically, no?
No, not really.
Not really?
Not anymore. And
well, maybe because of this.
It is a tactic. Well, I have no income, no taxes at all from these companies, but
they bring in a lot of projects.
The unemployment rates will go down. But
but that essentially that will translate into a big populace, returning it into the economy of the country itself. So it comes back to them. So that's why, sure.
Yeah, of course. But and then this it works on the short run. It works. And if you only look at Germany, like till the 70s or 80s, Bavaria was the poor house of Germany.
Yeah.
No industry at all. Then they lowered the corporate taxes way down every other federal state in Germany, and now Bavaria is kind of an economical powerhouse because everyone moved their headquarters to Bavaria. So when you are another federal state of Germany, or when you look at Ireland, another European country, well, what are you going to do? You have to lower your corporate taxes as well to get them back. And so it's kind of a race to the bottom, which in the end, only the companies will profit and the societies will lose because...
But you're looking at it at the short term, no? I mean, I must have misunderstood something, because as far as I can see, if the companies profit from this, that means more labor force is being able to pay it or employed. Wow.
Whoa.
I don't know what's up. And as a consequence, the local economy going up, because they are starting, those employees will be of buying power.
Yeah, but
no?
there is like only so much. Like if you have a like car companies, and there's a European populace, and we need like so and so many cars, and we want to build them just in Europe. Let's focus only on Europe.
Okay.
And right now we are building them in France and Germany, but then there are some other countries, Ireland and Cyprus. They are now lowering their corporate taxes, and these companies shift over there.
Okay.
Well, okay. Now we're building them here, but we still have the same amount of people needed to build these cars, and we still have this same amount of cars needed for Europe. So, and if we shift to the next countries, there's still the same amount of people that are no longer unemployed, that then through a multiplicator, through the multiplier effect, they will generate wealth and more jobs in their local economy. But we're just shifting them around for.
No, it means that the lowest, I mean, if you allow me, as far as I can tell, it means that those places who can afford to lower the income, the corporate income tax low enough because they require their economy to be boosted. It means that the lowest grossing economies start to, in a couple of decades, they just level themselves up to the others. No, like Bavaria, for example.
But there are different mechanisms. Sorry,
isn't that?
No, I was just thinking, if they move their headquarters from Germany to Ireland, as he was saying, you only need many cars.
Okay.
You only need that many people to build those cars. Those people who get employed in Ireland, it's the same amount of people as the ones who will be unemployed in Germany.
Yeah, but they have already done some. Those who are abandoned in Germany, they have the capacity to adapt, and they are not starting from zero for their. I mean, they can afford further education, for example, or they can afford to go. Get some competence that's necessary. That's no.
How can they afford that?
But with the money that forwards the.
Okay, and after they spend that.
Well, they have to be competitive. I mean, they have to survive. I'm not saying it's tough, but I don't see it as impossible as expecting the company to stay in Germany, and then the Irish people who had nothing and will have nothing should come upwards and should be leveled. They can't.
That's I don't think that's the point. There will be a development in Ireland or Cyprus or in this example, but there are other factors, other influences that could make a company shift the countries, like income. Mm-hmm. Of the people who are working there, or infrastructure or skills. And if it is like Porsche, who has a big office in Romania to do office jobs, and why are they there? Because the average salary of a Romanian person working there is lower than a German one.
Now, but maybe in 30 years it's not going to be leveled.
Then there will be a development, and that would be okay in a European spirit. I'm happy with it, but if only they would have the same corporate tax in Romania as in Germany, it would still be beneficially for them to do this and to create this nice effect.
No, I see. Okay,
but not on a cost of their contribution to a society. May it be the German, the France, or the Romanian. In my point of view, a European society.
I can't see why, because it looks like an obvious decision to be made on the European Union's end. The corporations, competitive enterprises wouldn't be into it. I get that. So they wouldn't vote for it, obviously, because it would mean that immediately they would be at a disadvantage compared to the current situation. But I see no other reason why this wouldn't be implemented immediately.
Because a lot of countries like Ireland and like the Eastern European countries are vetoing this because they see it as an advantage on the market to do this, and it is. And if you look at it, like Bavaria,
if you look on the macro, sure. If you're looking at small enough, sure, it
works. It definitely works. But on a broader view, we are all damaging ourselves as a European populace.
Okay. No, I see your point. That on the long term, it's a worse choice.
Exactly.
But okay. Well, here's the problem. It's very difficult for people to understand that some situations, economically speaking, are not going to change for the next 100 years because they will not live that long.
I have no idea what's going to happen in the next 50 years.
Okay, let's see if
wouldn't bet
okay.
on anything.
No, okay. I'm generalizing, but you know, it's if we're let's just pretend that we are not heading towards a complete catastrophe that has to be solved before anything else. But it's just, you look at the economical growth direction, I would say that even with the best of efforts, whether there's income tax regulation or not throughout the whole Europe, it's going to take decades to level everything up to the level where we live currently now, especially to Germany, because well, not only you have the highest grossing economy, you have a culture that goes with it. It's a working culture that I don't see reflected anywhere else in some manner. And intellectually, well, intellectually also, but yeah, I think it's hard for the, you know, I would have a hard sell to those people back in Hungary saying that, well, you know, it's gonna get better 150 years. They won't live that long. And yeah, on the long term, you're right. It's just those people aren't here yet. Mm-hmm. And this is inherently a human problem, sacrificing today for tomorrow, whether we should do it or not. So yeah, okay, I see how it is a problem now. There's two more subjects I want to touch, and then we can stop. We can stop at any moment. You guys feel tired or no? We have been going on for a while. Mm-hmm. Immigration, all the immigrants that. What's the current situation you guys know about Germany's stance on it? And because as far as I can tell, I'm talking about the refugees who come from insanely poor countries, and what kind of effect that does on economical level, and how do you handle it, and how do you tolerate it, and what do you see of it, and everything else.
Well, the way I see it, it's the same as for you and me. There's mostly young adults coming here who some of them even have education and skills.
Some of them even have money.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, you do need a lot of it to get here. So
yeah,
they might not have any when they arrive. They pay into the social systems way more than they need because they don't get sick. They want to work mostly. Mm-hmm. I dare to say that.
I think so. If they could, if they can, I think the majority would. Sure.
And it's the group of people who are paying for everyone else, for the children and for those who have already passed their working life.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to educate them. Mm-hmm. You don't need to invest in them to actually
beside
make
the language capacity, I guess, because that could be a problem. But well,
yeah, or you can just only hire Arabic-speaking people and have one person doing the jobs that requires German. I mean, you can balance it out. It's not about the language.
This is not at all in line with what I read on the internet. On the internet, it's very black and white.
Well, fortunately, the internet is not the world we live in.
Yeah. No, don't worry about it. I'll edit this out. I'll put Schwarzenegger's face on somewhere. This is gonna distract our audience. Or me.
I think it would be more believable if you put it on my body.
This is kind of a high joke, and I wish I would be at ease. But I'm gonna give it to that. Yes, it would be probably. Yes.
But I do think he has larger breasts than I do, so.
I also think he has more balls. or certain chromosomes, or beard.
Well,
Although less
he
hair.
does not have a beard, so
Yes.
You guys haven't seen the new Terminator trailer then.
Nope.
I wholly recommend you avoid it as much as possible. I am a fan of it, but I mean of the first two, but my God, again. Well, let's not talk about it. I'm gonna cry. There are all these Syrian refugees or others coming from other countries, and I could cry on the new Terminator trailer. I mean, now that's the reality of some of the problems that we are facing actually here. So it's hard to take it seriously on my perspective, but well. Did you guys see what happened with Game of Thrones? Have you guys?
No.
You weren't into it?
I did read the books.
Oh, wow!
I stopped. Yeah, well, those who are out there yet, and I stopped watching the series when they were about to go ahead.
So you finished the season 6, seasons 5,
5 or 6, something
like that, yeah.
And I stopped watching, so please don't spoil.
Honestly, you should stop.
Reading the books.
No, watching the series.
Yeah, I did, because by season, it got worse.
Yeah.
From storytelling and character development, and they, in the first 2 seasons, they were really, really close to the books.
Sure, go ahead. No worry.
And then they were getting further and further away from the storyline of the books, and that kind of.
But there's not a lot of storyline in the books. I mean, the books aren't written. No.
Well, the
first 5 or 6 books are written.
Oh yeah, no. Okay, I misunderstood. Of course, yeah. The first couple of books, sure, but for a reason. It was. You know how George R. R. Martin has planned writing this. It's like he was a screenwriter for a Hollywood project for like a decade. He was like, I'm fed up with this, that I have limits that I have to apply everything. I don't give a fuck. I want full blown, whatever my imagination allows. And so the TV program followed as much as they were able to with budget, but it has its limitations.
Of course.
So that's why they had to cut it. They were battles from the first one, apparently, that they have cut, and character lines, and because it's just too expensive to make.
I see this, but well, they had to make decisions.
Sure.
And I'm not happy with some of them. They kind of merged a few characters into one, which I find not necessary and irritating. And by letting out some major events, it doesn't really make sense how some characters acted if you missed out the background. And well, at that point I was like, okay, I'm not watching anymore. I will rather enjoy the books when they finally gets out at some point in time.
You think he'll finish it?
I'm an optimist. We discovered this earlier. I fear not. I'm hoping, of course, he will.
All right.
Maybe he's got like 3 or 4 finished books down in the cellar, attic, just waiting for the show to.
Surely not.
But he's writing so much other stuff. In the meantime, that really annoys me. So
maybe it's for a reason. I think.
You think he's fed up with the whole game?
No, not fed up, but I think there could be reasons why you're not finishing your masterpiece.
Psychological level.
As an artist, it's very obvious that this is going to be his legacy. This is what he's going to be known for. Even himself, he says it. The weird thing is that I haven't read his books. I just watched the series, and his involvement in the first 5 seasons was enough to keep it probably one of the most interesting TV series I have seen in a very long while. Mainly because it was about character development, and maybe because it was about gray areas in morals and storytelling from a sociological perspective instead of psychological, which is a very rare thing. But I think it in his age and in his capacity, I think it overwhelms him. And the moment he finishes it, the legend that he created is over. This way, if you leave it open, even if you know what the ending is gonna be, which is, I highly doubt that this would be exactly the ending what we have seen on the TV series, even if he has given what he intended to, because I don't think he would get here, and at least not the way the series have gotten anyway. I think if it stays in the imagination of the people and what could have been, could be more valuable after a storytelling what he has presented than the actual story he will come up with. It's just too much hype. There's no way he's not going to let down half of his fans by writing it. That's what I think. And I think he's wise enough to see that.
So I guess he's doing politics.
Yeah, who knows what he does. No, but as an artist, I really feel for him. It's very complicated to not have success, but to have this amount of success at the end of your life, I think it's more complicated. Because it's not like he writes better than he has written 20 years before.
So as an artist, it kind of was a big mistake to do the TV series?
I don't think yeah.
At this point, by not having finished the books?
I'm not sure if it's a...
I don't think the TV series plays any role in the decision. I think it's just a preview of what will happen.
It's a very complicated,
of the disappointment
problem.
that he's going to receive.
No, I think the disappointment that I'm talking about was like Paula said, is not influenced by the TV series, but I think his reputation is fiercely influenced by the TV series, which kinda is his also. More than not. It was, more of it was based on his work than what wasn't.
Yeah.
So, and it backlashed like you have no idea. The biggest grossing TV series of all time and the biggest budget of all time, where one episode equivalents to the highest grossing Hollywood movies, that's complicated to stand up against and say that, they fucked it up. It's his name on it, so it's complicated. I can't pretend to imagine what it could be in his place. As an artist, as a representative of a company, as a representative of his own legacy, and all of these balancing out, it's huge. If he was around 35, 40, I would say probably he would have a way out of this way. I don't think he will finish it because of the backlash. And you have seen you can see this tendency with great artists over time doing the same thing. Like they don't finish. Mozart's Requiem wasn't finished for a reason, mainly because he died. That's the narrative. I think he knew. The guy was one of the highest level of genius music has ever seen, at least up until that time. So he would know. That's my family. So he would know, how to. Even if George doesn't finish the books, if he gives a drawn storyline, he could draft it in, I don't know, 300 pages. What should happen? Key elements. Somebody else would finish it. You wouldn't ever see it. The difference, because it's not just that much of the writing. It's how these storylines are paralleled and twisted and
exactly.
Yeah. So it's a planning behind it that's substantial, not anything else. It's not his English that's so superior, even though it's fucking amazing. But that's what I think. I kind of got shocked. So you're up to the story up until the 5th. I kind of got shocked when I realized that Daenerys and Cersei's characters are inverses of each other. How it is planned out from the very beginning, one of them starts at the very high end of power. Both of them are married against their will. Both of them have their children die. One of them makes the couple work. The other one kills general. It's like all of them. It's like going in a double helix. It's very interesting. One of the reasons for why the series won't work for you is this, for example.
There are a lot of these examples where when you I don't know, what was it, the fifth book? I think Dance of Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
When this came out, I was reading the the books 1 to 4 again to get back in with the story, and then I was reading the fifth book, Dance of Dragons, I think it was. And when you're rereading, it's so amazing how when you know what's going to happen and all this foreshadowing and character development, you finally get it and you see the little hints. That's what makes his books so awesome. These little plots and comparisons and
it's planned.
decisions that are made by people like on a different continent that affects other decisions and how everything is interacting without anyone knowing about it. Amazing.
Yeah.
So complex. Huh?
That said, one of the reasons why it's working, because in my understanding, he's using archetypical story lines that. Now this is this is something I talked about with those who work in genetic research. Then how much of these archetypical story understanding you inherit, because it's not something you feel that where it should go. You feel when the story is off. You might not be able to predict where it's going to go, but when it's not there, you definitely know where does it come from.
Were we trained by all the stories we heard when we were childs, or when we were by every story you read, most of them follow kind of the same concepts.
Okay.
Introducing, maybe some character development, climax, finish.
Well, we know two archetypical type of stories, right? One of them is going out there and discovering the unknown or conquering the unknown. The other one is boy meets girl, like how people interconnect. So if you go down to that level, sure, there's nothing else in the books. I mean, the rest is just, furniture.
But I think,
isn't it?
I think he kind of shocks the reader by not giving you what you think you're gonna have.
No, I think he gives you exactly.
Realistic. No, Red Wedding. Like these moments when you think, okay, now this is gonna happen. Like there will be kind of a happy end, or this is gonna on a storyline. They had it bad. Now this is gonna happen. Now they finally have it good, and then we will see. Oh no, he is this really hardcore realistic person.
And
he kind of surprised and
because you are expecting a psychological storyline. That's why. But
most stories are.
No, that's not true. No? But most stories that you come across could be easily that, because Hollywood is almost only that.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. No, the popular ones are mostly that, but it's not the majority by any stretch. It's just you have to know where to look. That's all I can say. And I think it's substantially harder to write the kind of shit he does. It's not nice for me to say the kind of material he does, because of the interconnection. You have to keep track of every single storyline and every intertwining influence, which is it's quite amazing. But I wouldn't be surprised if that would be also the reason why he will never finish it. Although I wish your optimism to become reality. And if he finishes the books, I will read them also, but not until then, because I don't think he will. Without the end of the arc, you could predict where it's going, but the problem with this sociological storytelling is that the general it's way more interesting on the journey itself than just the end point. There's no climaxing end point, because like a superhero idea is idiotic. Nobody is a superhero 24/7. You can be like a superhero for 20 minutes, then you go back for 4 weeks doing your everyday life. So yeah, I know how to uplift a conversation. You see, we're having fun.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about a book I would recommend to you. I only know the German title, but I'm pretty sure it's translated.
I can do a research very fast.
Okay,
but
it's from. Maybe we have talked about this when you were at our place.
It might be.
Bertolt Brecht. Die heilige Johanna der Schlachthöfe. Now let's see if he kind of puts it in correctly.
Die heilige Johanna der
Schlachthöfe,
kurz heilige Johanna genannt, ist ein episches Theaterstück von Bertolt Brecht und seinen Mitautoren Elisabeth Hauptmann und Emil Borich. Es erzählt die Geschichte der Johanna d'Arc. Okay. I see.
It's basically Joan d'Arc working for a charity.
8 years of German. Mm-hmm. I don't understand a single thing. I can read badly.
It's Jeanne d'Arc working for a charity organization in Chicago in the 1900s, and she wants to help the poor people, but they don't care.
Okay.
And basically, and
Schlachthöfe, is that the slaughterhouse?
Slaughterhouse, yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Because it's like the butcher's industry, and all the cattle get slaughtered there. And it's a really, really, really good book.
Okay.
And I think you'll like it.
Why would you recommend it to me?
Because just what you just said, it's not a book that makes you happy, but it keeps you thinking on so many levels.
All right, sure.
And it's about society. It's about progress and how we as a society can achieve something and what hinders this. And it kind of reflects on everything we talked for the last two
something
hours?
Like 2 hours.
Yeah.
A bit over.
And I think Bertolt Brecht is one of the best writers we had in Germany.
Cool. I'll check it out.
And maybe it's...
If I hate it, I'll let you know.
No problem. Then you're gonna pick a book that I'm gonna read, and maybe I'll hate it too.
Maybe you will. Okay. It could be fun. I'll see if I can get it in a language that I know. Mm-hmm. Probably it's gonna be possible.
I think so.
Brecht is even translated in Hungarian in several versions, so I think, but English something. I don't think I would read it in French. It's good. There's not a lot from German literature that I have access to. Some of it we learned, but that's something I wanted to ask. Do you get influenced by the German culture in that regard? Can you read on the level so that you would appreciate it, not just understand it?
I think so. I just don't really.
Okay. Well, it's difficult. I do agree.
I actually decided for myself to start reading a bit more in German to have a better grasp of the vast Wortschatz. Vocabulary of the German language.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the same idea about French, but it really matters what you choose. And they like to write. All right. Well, that's gonna be a good closure. I think we're all tired. We have a lot to do today, so thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate you being here. It was fun. I hope. Well, the problem is I have more questions at the end than answers, but usually this is how we end up with conversations. So yeah, I hope we could do this at some point again. I will make a list of shit that I would like to talk about.
Cool.
That would be good. Separately, I think I could even take you guys on a similar trip, and it would be still interesting. So I'm kind of in a hard position, trying to juggle between you two. And so thank you so much. And then, yeah, welcome to France. I don't know how to finish this, but I hope you learned something. Any of you want to learn how to play bass? I can teach you in 15 minutes.
Challenge accepted.
All right. Let's do that then. Thank you so much. Let's finish this here, and then see you guys at the next opportunity.
Ciao.
Let me turn this on so you could say hello. Huh? Maybe. What? Suspense? Whoa! Hey. Bye.
Ciao.